Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards, number 2, my man. This is a very important bout, incredibly important bout, because a lot of people, like I said in the intro, think Leon Edwards is the man who was primed to take that gold strap away from Kamaru Usman and take it back to England. When's the last time we had an English champion, AJ? Pop quiz, Michael Bisping, baby. Let's go. Who did Michael Bisping take that championship from, AJ? Who did
Luke Rockhold, brother.
Luke Rockhold. And Luke Rockhold happens to be on this card, huh? So maybe we just see a major turn, a major loop in the metaverse or whatever you want to call it. But I beg to differ, because listen, man, you watched the first fight and what did you see? You saw Kamaru Usman, who was a shell of the striker that he is today. You saw him wing some big hooks, get in, and be that wrestler that we all knew and loved that won the championship from Tyron Woodley, right? Now, my question to you here, AJ, is Leon Edwards. He says, listen, man, I'm leaps and bounds above him in terms of striking. Do I agree with that? Absolutely, right? I'm a better mixed martial artist. Do I agree with that? I don't know. But here's my question to you, AJ. Has Kamaru Usman done the thing that Leon Edwards said? Has he fallen in love with his hands? He says it's only natural. You start getting knockouts, you fall in love with the hands. Or is he smart enough, AJ? Does he have the mental fortitude enough to say, I'm going to do what got me to the dance, and I'm going to wrestle this man, and I'm going to win the fight? What do you think?
Man, I think if you're thinking Kamaru Usman has fallen in love with his hands, you're not really remembering the Colby Covington fight that he had in the last one, man. He out-wrestled Colby, and he did outstrike Colby, man. Kamaru is one of the ultimate actual mixed martial artists that has the brain power enough to transform to when he sees opportunities on the hands and the feet, he's getting them done. But then when he sees those hips, he knows he can get juicy in there and get deep and get into those hips and actually drive, man. Kamaru Usman is not only like physically gifted, but he's a tactician mentally in there as well. I think I agree with the fact that Leon, if this was a stand-up fight, Leon just boxing, his boxing is a little bit more crisp in there, but Kamaru is not far behind. And when you add in all the other X factors that can go in, man, Kamaru Usman, I think, is a better mixed martial artist. A part that does worry me, not all the time does the best mixed martial artist win. But in this case, man, Kamaru Usman, it's hard to bet against him. You even saw before, it was 80% on just the fans. He is the big underdog, or I guess not big underdog, moderate top dog in this fight. Excuse me, Kamaru Usman with a plus like 340, if I remember seeing it correctly. It's going to be a hard-fought battle for Rocky Edwards. Going to be the second ever British champ. I don't know if he's going to get it done. Derek, what do you think?
But AJ, I mean, Usman's running around with his shirt open looking like Terry Crews, man. He's falling off. He doesn't even know what it's like to be humble anymore, right? Or maybe that's what you say when you're trying to build up a narrative here, AJ. What do we talk about all the time? We say UFC is masterminds at building narratives. They are masters. They are just uber achievers when it comes to building a story. And while I want to believe that Kamaru Usman has fallen off and he's not that dog he once was, we weren't far removed where he was sitting at the press conference saying, take what from who? You take the belt from me? Oh, brother, y'all, you in for a long ride here, brother. Listen, I'm just going to say this. I think Leon Edwards is by far a superior pure striker. But how is he going to stay on the outside against Kamaru Usman, man? Jorge Masvidal was claimed to be this man who was the greatest striker that he could possibly match up with, and he knocked him out. Why? Because he was so ready for Usman to shoot, he wasn't expecting the hands. Now, if you're Edwards, you're expecting Usman to wrestle, obviously, right? And I do think Edwards can have a lot of success, and here's where I think he can have the success at. Usman is going to do what? He's most likely going to try to use the hands to start off, close the distance, grab him. Do I think we're going to see a double off the bat? No, I think Edwards is going to be a little too good for that. So what I think we're going to see is Usman going to take Edwards, just like in the first fight, put his back against the cage, clinch him up. But this is danger, AJ, because I think Edwards is going to be able to throw some good elbows, good clinch work, right? Look at what happened in the Bilal Muhammad fight. Kind of same thing, right? You're getting up against the cage, all that. You start working a little dirty boxing and all that. The question becomes, can Usman convert that cage wrestling, whatever you want to call that, that clinch work, into a double, into a single, get his back flat on the mat, and then just take away the striking from him? I think that's the path to victory. I think that's the number one path to victory, and I think that it's going to be very difficult for Leon Edwards to be able to keep a pure wrestler like Kamaru Usman, a very, very high-level wrestler. I just think it's going to be hard to keep him at bay and to really let go with your striking. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you see a different path to victory? I mean, people are really hyped up about this performance Edwards just had with Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz is going to sit there and box you for 5 rounds. He's not going to sit there and just be diving at your ankles all day. So what do you think?
And the big thing that worries me about the whole Rocky Leon Edwards kind of style, sure, he might start off well, but what happens when Kamaru Usman does push you up against the fence, starts making you tired, things get going? We saw when he got tired in that 5th round, he almost got finished by Nate Diaz. Sure, if Nate Diaz instead of pointed at him and actually went at him, he could have seen something different. Maybe would have seen a finish. But either way, Leon Edwards starts getting tired, the hands start getting down, so the punches start getting just a little bit lazy, a little bit sloppy. Now, I think if Kamaru Usman puts a pace to him, we're going to see that kind of start happening in the 3rd, in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, those kind of rounds right in the middle when you can't see the finish line. The 5th round is way out of reach. There's no way you're thinking about 5th at this point, but you're already doubting yourself a little bit, man. The gas has been drained. The energy will's a little down, man. Your mental's kind of suffering. And you have the Nigerian Nightmare, Mr. Hollywood, Mr. Shirt Open, double chain going on. Mr. Diamond's over there, man. You have him pressing you up against the cage, throwing elbows, blocking things off, seeing things coming before you do. He's hitting you body shots. It's going to be a very hard one. And, man, it worries me, like I said, for Leon Edwards, for the fact that in those later rounds, that's when we saw the best of the Nate Diaz fight. And sure, Nate Diaz, he always says he's a slow starter. He starts really going in the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. But if Rocky Edwards didn't slow down then too, we wouldn't have seen the success that Nate Diaz had. And if you're talking power levels, versus Nate Diaz. He's a death by 1,000 punches. Kamaru Usman proved in the Jorge Masvidal fight, he will take your head off your shoulders if you allow him to, if you underestimate him for just a second. I think the power level that Kamaru Usman possesses, as well as the gas tank and the wrestling, going to make a very, very hard fight for Leon Edwards. What do you think?
So listen, man, I agree with you, and it's clear we're on the same board here. It's hard to doubt the greatness of a Kamaru Usman right now, and I'm not just saying that because he's the champion. I'm saying that because he's proved it time and time again. Every single time I bet against him, we find out the same way. Just don't, right? So let's just play the other side of the coin before we talk about wagers. How does Leon Edwards win this fight?
Keeps him at bay, rocks him, gets on the hands, ones, twos, downs the pipe, and then dips out on the corner, turn the corner, get out of the way of the wrecking ball that is going up and down, circle out. That's the best way I see. Other than that, maybe some kicks, uppercuts. You're going to have to be throwing a lot of uppercuts if you're facing the wrestler just to get him not away from thinking about your hips. Other than that, man, I don't know. What about you?
Well, I think that one advantageous nature of this fight is Leon Edwards is going to be fighting in a larger cage than if he was at the Apex or if he was at, just a regular Vegas, type situation, right? You got a big cage. You got a lot of real estate to work around. I just think, keep him at bay. Use that sharp jab. Use that right hand. And every time that he tries to come in, have a knee, an uppercut, have something coming for him to let him know you're not just shooting in on me, buddy. But that's just what's difficult, man. We've seen a lot of people try that same method and just didn't work. So why is it Leon Edwards is the guy? Yeah, he's on this amazing 10-fight win streak, man. But who was the last guy to beat Leon Edwards? It was Usman. And you could argue, hey, we throw that fight away because it happened so long ago. They're two completely different fighters. But at the end of the day, AJ, man, listen, history speaks for itself. And we will see if history will repeat or if we'll see a different outcome. So let's talk wagers here. The over and under is 4.5 rounds. Most people think that the best path to victory for Kamaru Usman is a decision victory, as you can see via the prop, minus 120 for the prop. I actually like that because if you're looking at the greatness of Kamaru Usman, at this point, they should be laying heavy lines on him, kind of like the Nunez, Shevchenko decision win for Shevchenko at some point. It's like, all right, we'll give it minus 200, minus 300, minus 400, right? For Usman, they have it minus 120. I think those are pretty fair odds to take for a decision win that is most likely going to happen. Do I see Usman knocking out Leon Edwards? Not unless he does something foolish like what Masvidal did and just doesn't respect the striking. And I don't know if that's the case. But out of all of these props here for Kamaru Usman, I mean, plus 275 for the TKO, plus 1,200 for the submission. I like that minus 120 decision prop right there. What do you think?
Out of all of those, I would say, I mean, it seems the best and it seems like the most likely, especially it's a lot better than that minus 360 favorite that Kamaru is. Honestly, though, Derek, man, I'm going ballsy on this one. I know my prop bets weren't the best last week, but something tells me we're gonna see a TKO finish coming from Kamaru Usman. And I was gonna say the 4th round, so it's right in that right under. Oh man, it's gonna be interesting. I'm still gonna go with it. I'm going knockout for early 4th round. What about you? That's the under. So I know it's 4.5. What do you think? What are you thinking?
I think that you are a courageous man, AJ, because listen, my man said, not only are we just making history, we're making history. You know Leon Edwards has never been finished, right? Like, you know that, right? So we're
Yeah.
predicting for Usman to just be like, I'm not just beating these guys, I'm lapping the division and I'm finishing these dudes. We'll see. I think that's a little bit bold. I actually respect Leon Edwards a little too much to see him putting himself in a position where he just gets mounted and just elbows drop down on his face. Like, yeah, Usman is an amazing wrestler, but Leon Edwards is not a slouch. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly think if you look at what Colby, here's the thing: Edwards is a southpaw. And I don't want to spend too much time because we're going a little too long on this one fight. We have a couple more fights to break down. Edwards is a southpaw. Colby Covington was a southpaw. Colby Covington was able to land on Usman. Edwards is by far a better striker than Colby Covington is. The only difference is Usman did also have to worry about that wrestling. So yeah, I don't know. Finish? I don't know, but that's bold and courageous. So. We're both. I'm taking the over. AJ's taking the under. I like decision. He has the TKO, but we are both rocking and still Kamaru Usman now.